Since the beginning, people in this country have been having children with other people of different ethnicities and races. Our country, however, hasn't always done such a good job of identifying or defining what it means to be a product of multiple ethnicities. Words like biracial, multi-ethnic, and mixed have all been used to define such people throughout American history. Such observations raise the questions like, how does one find their own identity in a society that doesn't know how to identify them? How should society define the meaning of multi-ethnic families, or should we even try? How does the mainstream media view biracial people, and who are the famous faces of multi-ethnicity, and how have they influenced our thoughts and opinions? Through personal testimony, interviews, and research of the mainstream media, myself, Toudouze, and my two colleagues, Cantu and Ethel Asberry, hope to answer these questions as best we can, and perhaps open a dialogue between our classmates and friends about what it means to be multi-ethnic in today's world.
Mixed, biracial, half-caste, mulatto are just a few terms that are used to describe an individual who is two or more races. With such a vast assortment of ethnic mixes, combinations such as Creole, which is Black, French, and Indian, and Euro-African, which is a combination of European and African, are used to describe individuals who are mixed. However, with such a wide variety of different mixes, it's very hard to put a label on just one. So where exactly do we fit in? Over the centuries, society has made various attempts to categorize multiracial individuals, but the truth is that multiracial individuals are in a league all of their own. The societal need to categorize individuals by race and ethnicity has put a great burden on those individuals who don't necessarily want to be categorized, therefore causing many to have to pick a side.
In the 2012 documentary named Marley, Bob Marley's family discusses a few of the trials and tribulations that he went through being a mixed individual.
Did he get teased for being mixed?
Yeah, worse than teased. Teased is not the word, you call it rejected. He did everything that his bigger uncles should be doing because it was their duty to move horses and to make sure that the pigs were fed, and they left all of that work for Robert. He had to earn his every meal.
My father's a white and my mother black. No, them call me half caste or whatever. Well, we don't dep on no body side. We don't dep on the black man's side nor the white man's side. We dep on God's side. The man who created me, who caused me to become from black and white.
Similar to Bob Marley as a child, many mixed-race children have been discriminated on because of the color of their skin. Unaccepted by the blacks, yet frowned upon by the whites. However, through it all, biracial and multiracial individuals have risen above the hate and discrimination, turning their differences into desirables. Individuals such as Bob Marley, Mariah Carey, Halle Berry, and Vin Diesel, just to name a few, have capitalized on their individuality as mixed-race peoples. As a matter of fact, some of the greatest talents of today are of mixed origin, and although they may not have a definite category in society, they're definitely creating one from themselves.
I've always been able to see both sides of it, and I actually don't like having to decide which one, I identify most with, because I feel like it's equal, because I am equally black and white.
That is so common, and I'm Black and Argentinian, and I constantly feel the same struggle of, having to choose one or the other, and I feel like it's almost not fair to choose. So would you say that you're one of the people who kind of gets along with a lot of different racial groups because you are multicultural or multi-ethnic?
I would, definitely. I think growing up, I've always been open to having an assortment of friends. It doesn't matter what your race is. I think, if you're a good person, then you're a good person.
My next question would be, have you had any problems that you have faced throughout your life as far as being mixed with, two different ethnicities from either the white side of you or the black?
Growing up, I think it was harder for me to relate to other people, and that's only because growing up I thought I was Hispanic because when you're a child all you see is the exterior, and so living in Texas, most people around you are Hispanic, and so I look like them, and I would go over their houses and spend the night with my Hispanic friends, and so I thought I was Hispanic too.
That is so funny. I actually went through similar experiences as well. My last question, are there any positive things that you have found from being mixed? Have you found any advantages from being a part of different groups or different races at all?
I would like to think that being biracial, I have an open mind. I think I'm very accepting of all different kinds of people, regardless of race. And so I think that plays a big part in my upbringing because I've always had both, you know, like I've been around white people, black people, it doesn't really matter. So I think it has made me more open-minded.
Okay. So great. And my last question is, what is your favorite attribute of being a biracial individual?
Definitely my hair.
I love the hair.
I have the curliest, cutest hair in the world, and it gets gargantuan, but I like that I'm able to wear it naturally curly, or I can straighten it and it still looks presentable.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much for interviewing with us today. Ethel Asberry, and I'm here with Chris, and he's going to interview with me and tell me a little bit about how he feels about being multiracial. So first, Chris, I wanted to ask you, what is your exact ethnicity?
Well, my exact ethnicity is quite complicated. African American. I'm Creole, which combines African American and French. I also have another tribe of French within me. I have Spanish, Italian, 2 tribes of Native American, as well as Caribbean.
Okay. So out of all of those, do you feel like there's one ethnic group that you identify with the most?
Yes, growing up African American. I was raised in the culture of African American, being from South Dallas, so I was always around that. And then most of my family are, well, it's like my family's half and half. So some of my family is light skinned, some of my other family is a lot darker. So if I'm around them, that's what I do.
Okay. Great. Do you also feel like throughout your life, have you faced any problems from either ethnic group because you were mixed and mixed with more than one thing?
Yes, honestly, you know, in society there's a lot of prejudicial views, and so being with, you know, a darker crowd, they will look at me like, oh, you're light skinned, so you feel you're better, or you're gonna have better opportunities. So I was outcast there, but also when I was around, you know, Caucasians, even though I was light skinned, the way I talked, the way I walked, it still had another culture, so I was still not in the in crowd. So it was just a lot of, you can feel like tension being around different people. So it was a getting used to all that.
And on the other side of the spectrum, have you felt very privileged or like you've had advantages in your life because you've been biracial?
I wouldn't say so much privileges or benefits. Not that I've noticed. I might have, but I've never just been too sure. Like I said, I was never the one that just hung with, you know, just upbeat. Like, I was always around, you know, what people consider the in crowd. So it was never just so much like getting benefits, and I didn't really start working until I got to college. So I never, when people was talking about you get a better job and things like that, I didn't experience that. Like, I was unaware of that. So.
And my last question would be, what is your favorite physical attribute about yourself that I guess embodies your multi-ethnicity?
Favorite attribute?
And it can be physical, it can be spiritual, mental, anything.
Well, I think if you want to say spiritual, my greatest attribute I would say is my relationship with God. I try to be a true example of Jesus Christ in every aspect. Truly come out of love, laying hands on the sick, seeing people healed, and just seeing people just, you know, seek destiny. So being that tool that helps them.
Now back to Joel to inform you on the many milestones that mixed race individuals have made in mainstream media in regard to comedy and entertainment. Thank you.
Bromley Communications conducted research that indicates 1 in every 4 marriages is an interracial marriage. With the increase in interracial marriages, we now have a rising population of multiracial and biracial people. And as with every population, we begin to create images of what that population looks and sounds like.
Blake Griffin is a biracial athlete whose face seems to be just about everywhere nowadays. Griffin is the face of Kia Motors and held an internship producing comedy videos with Funny or Die. But those 2 endeavors are not what Blake Griffin is internationally known for, and that's being a superstar basketball athlete.
In the past, Griffin has opened up about being biracial. He once said that when he was younger, he struggled because he wasn't black enough for his black friends because he had a white mom, and yet he didn't look like his white friends. It seems those days of struggling are gone, as Griffin is now able to joke around about his diversity. Shortly after being made the #1 overall draft pick by the Los Angeles Clippers, Griffin sat down with Peter Melman to discuss being biracial. Now, while being biracial can cause identity issues for some, this is a refreshing take that can definitely be a positive message for others.
You are biracial. What do you feel about that term? I mean, shouldn't it be like interracial or maybe ambiracial?
I never really thought about that.
Maybe you could form some kind of support group to rephrase that.
You know who could be president of that support group? Barack Obama.
And Halle Berry could be first lady. Anything else
should be all ladies. Whatever maybe she could be president.
We should take that up with the Rules Committee.
We got a lot of stuff to work on.
We got a lot to do after this interview. You always wanted to play in the NBA. Were you ever at all worried that, you know, the white part in you would hold you back?
Sometimes. I would, at night when I go to bed, I'd cry myself to sleep because it's like, you know, why? Why did I, have to be, half white? Why couldn't I just be guaranteed to be in the NBA?
On behalf of myself, Joel Cantu, and Ethel Asberry, I'd like to thank you for watching our video, and we hope that this is just the beginning of many studies to come on what it means to be multi-ethnic